Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Cabinet Vision Guy. In this episode, we're going to continue our series on JavaScript, and we're going to start to take a look at some awesome new functionality that's been added, and this is the JavaScript shaping object. So you can see me using this in the background at the moment. What the JavaScript shaping object allows us to do is it allows us to create UCSs, and with those UCSs, we can shape assemblies, doors, countertops, parts, and operations. In the next few episodes, we're going to be going through some detailed examples that I've put together, showing us how we shape all the different types of objects and some of the things that we might do. But in this episode, what I wanted to do is just make an introduction to the shaping object, show you where you can get some help, and show you some basics of shaping an assembly and then shaping parts as well. Before we jump straight into the code, I just wanted to show you in usual fashion where we can get a little bit of additional help if you're new to writing UCSs or you're new to using the shaping object, which obviously most people will be. So there's been a few things added to JavaScript UCSs to help us shape, not just the shaping object itself. So I'm going to start off under the assembly object, and down here we can see we've got a few other commands. The first one to look at is getShape. So on an assembly or a part or a countertop or a door, for instance, we can now do getShape, and that'll return us a new shape object. We can also check if something is shaped, so if it has a shape applied to it already, by doing this is shaped. And lastly, we can also set the shape of an object as well. And when we do that, we choose the axis that we want to shape in, and then we can apply a specific shape to an object. Now, if you look specifically at the JavaScript shape object in here as well, you'll see there's more details on how we create some of the shapes before we apply them to other assemblies. So you'll see that there's a few different things to note here. Each shape, when we're getting a shape or setting a shape, we can use an axis to apply this. Obviously, if we're applying this to a cabinet, we've got face, plan, and side view. If we are dealing with assemblies, we can also set the side type of that assembly as well. So again, for an assembly, we'd be setting the side to a top, for instance, or a bottom, or a finished back. Because we can modify doors and countertops, we can also set the side type on those objects too, because countertops and doors are actually assemblies. And each shape also has properties to it. So axis is one of them that I mentioned, and this is the axis that the shape has been applied to. And then we can also check to see whether a shape is closed or not, and we can also count the number of edges within that shape. Now, for creating the actual shapes themselves, we have different commands to build up elements of a complete closed shape. So this is things like shape.addArc3point, where we add a 3-point arc, essentially. We've also got addArcRadius, where we provide the start and end points and a radius of the arc, as well as the start and end angle. And we've also got addLine as well, where we provide the start and end points of the line to create. So essentially we would create either a shape to remove from an existing shape using the bool command, or we'd recreate the entire outline shape of a component or an assembly. Once we've created the shape, we can then check and see whether it's closed and potentially produce an error message if it's not. And again, if we're dealing with things like assemblies, we can also get the side type and also set the side type as well. In which case we pass an integer for the side number. And again, it's worth noting that this is a 0-based index, so it starts at 0 and goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've also got other commands. We'll see set side type here, where we choose the edge that we're going to be working on of the object, and then we set the particular side type. We can also choose to reset a shape if we get the shape itself. And we can also deal with XML, which I think we'll do in a few episodes' time. So we can choose to pass an XML string into a shape as well. And if we take a look here, we've also got 2XML. So there is an XML format where we can also drive a shape of an object. So let's take a look at this in action now. I've prepared a couple of simple examples for us to look at. One applies a shape to a part, and another has a couple of different methods for applying a shape to an assembly. So I'm just going to talk you through the fundamentals of both. So as you can see on screen, what I've got is an assembly, and what I've done with my assembly is I've manually added a part. It's a really simple part, a filler, and I've just added that to essentially act as a top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to head to plan view. I'm going to click on the top that I've got here, and on my left hand side I've got a UCS that's driving an attribute for me, and it's allowing me to input a corner radius. And as soon as I do that, you'll see that my top then takes on a new shape, and adopts the corner radius that I'm inputting here. So if I just make this way bigger so we can see, you'll see that this is now has a 200mm radius, or if I make this a lot smaller, you'll see that there. So the actual shape of my top itself, or my part that I'm editing, is actually being defined with a UCS using the shaping object. Now it's worth noting that you do have to have the shaping multiplier as part of your license to use the UCSs with shaping, but with the power of that, it really is worth the upgrade. So let's just take a quick look at the UCS that's driving this. And if I head into UCSs, and let's just take a look at the code that's driving this. So the first thing that we do is we get the filler properties. This is applied to a filler, by the way. We get the filler properties just for redefining the shape, just with the length and width up here. Then we decide a corner radius for our component, obviously. And then what we're doing is, the first thing that we do is we create a new shape object. So we're creating it essentially and redefining the entire outline shape of our component. And then we use add line and add arc commands to essentially just build up the outline shape. Once the shape's closed, what we then do is we do this dot set shape, and we choose an axis we want to apply this to. So we're working in X, Y, and then we apply the shape that we've created here. So to make this easier for you and to make it a lot easier for me, what I've done is I've added some CAD in here to help me just talk through this. So I've got a copy of the UCS here, but I've also drawn an outline of the shape as well as added all the commands in that make up essentially the shape that we're looking at. So again, the first thing I do is when I'm creating a shape, we do a cv-system.create new object. And essentially what this does is it just creates a blank shape for us that has no elements to it. And that's what we can use to then build up the shape that we want to create. So the first thing that we're doing is we're doing new shape.addLine, and we're actually starting on the first edge down here. Now it's important to remember when we're shaping parts and different objects, especially assemblies, there is a specific order that we need to move, which is counterclockwise, but it will start on a specific edge. I've got some images for the assemblies to help us through this, which we'll look at in a second. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm doing a new shape.addLine, and for this so we've got the standard command on the left. I'm providing 4 points or 4 measurements to the add line command to define the start X and Y point and the end X and Y for my line. So I'm starting at 0, 0 at the back here. And then what I'm doing is I'm coming all the way down to the top width, and I'm taking from that the corner radius, which essentially gives me to this point here. In the X, because we're working in an axis X and Y, in X I'm remaining in 0, so this is just a movement in Y. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to program then a curve essentially that moves around here, and to do that I've chosen add arc radius. There's 2 commands that we could possibly use here, add arc radius and add 3-point arc. For the arc radius we provide the center points of the arc, and then we provide the start and end angle as well as the radius. So with the line we're actually programmed to the line itself, but with the arc we're actually giving this point here. We then decide that we, in our situation, want this to curve around from 270 to 0, and then once we've moved around this corner we're then ready to create another element to our shape, and that's this third edge. So for that we're using the add line command where we provide the start and end points of this, and then we're ready to turn the corner again. And for this one we're giving again the center point here, and we're providing the same corner radius, but the angle for this one starts at 0 and ends at 90. So you'll notice on this one, this starts at 270 and ends at 0. This one starts at 0 and ends at 90. From here, again, we then go to a new add line command to plot in this particular line for us, and then the last one here up at the back. Now what we should be doing, or I should be doing in this UCS, is probably checking the shape is closed before then applying the shape. But to apply the shape, what we do is we do this, which again, because we're applying this to a filler, is the filler part itself. And we do this dot set shape, we choose the axis that we want to apply this to, and then we apply our new shape that we've built here. And the effect of this is I can obviously pick up the filler that we've added and then choose to add in any type of corner radius size that I want in there, and our part is then reshaped. Now, one of the big advantages to doing this is it means that our top is kind of automatically constrained. So if I just make this a lot bigger, you'll see that our corner radius will remain the same. So if I just return out, you'll see that we've got another UCS in action here. So now I'm on room level. I'm just going to enable our simple assembly shape in UCS. And I'll just make sure we've got some active code. Yeah, perfect. And what this UCS is doing is, rather than producing as a radius on a component, it's actually producing as a notch in our assembly. So if we just head down to assembly level, you'll see that our assembly itself is now shaped. And if I go to edit shape here, you'll see that we've got a few different back types as we move around the notched shape that we've created. I can also, once I've got a shaped assembly, choose to do all the normal things that I would do. So I can apply a different section into it to put my interior shelves, etc, etc. Now, the way we go about building that shape is very similar to how we apply the shape to a part. So the first option that we're going to look at is where we redefine the entire shape of the component itself. So if I just take a look at the UCS, or the part of the UCS that does that, just like when we're defining the part shape, we have to move around the assembly shape in a set order. So for plan view, we start off here, and then what we do is we do new assembly shape.add line, and essentially, rather than talking through everything, we just move around the outside edge of the shape that we want to create, using for us the different values that we've put in for the notch to create the notch shape here. Now, the difference when we're working with an assembly shape, and this is true for assemblies, countertops and doors, is we have to set the side type of that shape in order to make sure that this, for instance, is going to be a back moving around the different edges here. So to do that, we have another command, set side type, and then we start off at a 0-based index, as I mentioned before, and essentially just pass the different side type that we want to apply to this assembly. So side type 0 in our case is going to be an auto end. Side type 1, which is the face of the assembly down here, obviously we're setting to be a face. And then side type 2, which is around here, we're then setting to be an end again. And then with the other side types, we're just setting them to be a back. We also create an alert message for this particular example. You obviously wouldn't want this when you're actually creating a UCS in anger. But in the message, what we've got is we've got whether the shape is closed, so we can check whether a shape is closed once we've created it. We can also check the axis of a shape. As I mentioned before, we're applying this to the XZ axis. And we can also count the number of elements in the new shape that we've created here with the count method. Once we've done that, we're then using set shape again to apply the different assembly of shape. And again, the result gives us a nice notch in the back. Now, there's a couple of different ways of going about creating the different shapes. We can do like we've done here on for our filler, where we've actually drawn the entire outline of the shape. But we can also choose to add or remove the shape itself. So rather than creating a shape that defines the entire outline, we just need to create the shape essentially that defines the part that we want to add or remove from our shape. So an alternate method of this is the UCS that we've got on the right hand side. So this UCS, instead of doing this .create shape, as we can see in here, we've got the new assembly shape is cvsystem.createObject CV shape. With this one, what we're actually doing is we get in the initial shape of the assembly itself, and then we're choosing to manipulate that shape. So what we're doing is this shape equals this .get shape. We're then providing the axis, obviously, of the shape that we want to get from the assembly, so we can work with plan, side, or face, as I mentioned. And what we're doing is we are creating a new shape, but this shape just represents the actual material that we want to remove. So for us, in this instance, that's just the notch. So what we're doing is we're doing shape equals cvsystem.createObject, and then what we do is we move essentially just like we would do in order around the outside edges of the notch. And then rather than defining the entire outline of the shape like we do in this one, what we do is we do a this shape.bool, and then we choose to sub, and we can choose to sub or add, and then we choose to subtract our shape that we've created here. So rather than defining the entire outline shape of our component or assembly, we're actually choosing to define just the shape of the material that we want to remove, and then we're doing that using the bool and sub command. If we wanted to add a little bit of a notch onto this, we'd go about it in the same way. We'd probably draw it in a slightly different place, but instead of choosing sub, we'd choose add at that point and choose to add to our existing shape. Once we've redefined the outline shape of the assembly, we still have to set the side type, so that bit of the code remains the same. And obviously we can still access whether the shape is closed, the axis of the shape, and the elements, the number of elements as well. So we apply the shape in the same way. We're just applying this shape down here. This one's really useful because with this type of thing, what we can do is we can program the notch or the material that we're going to be removing, the shape that we take out or add in, to be a function, and then we can call it multiple times for lots of different parts and assemblies. Now, I mentioned before there's a specific order in which we need to draw assemblies, and I've got an image up at the top here just to show you for reference. So if we're drawing in the XY axis, we need to start off with the bottom edge and move around again. We're working counterclockwise, but we start on the bottom. If we're working in plan view, we start on the left side, and this should be closest to 0, 0 where we start. So 0, 0 being here on the face view, at the back here on the axis XZ or the plan view. So we start here and draw in this direction. And then on XY, 0, 0 being down here at the bottom, we start here and draw up in this direction. So if you are redefining the assembly outlines, it's worth just making sure that you've got this set in the correct order. If you don't have it set in the correct order, what you will find is little bits of inconsistencies when you come to do things like set the side type and get the side type as well. In the example that you can see, the advanced example that we'll be covering in a few episodes time, we can actually reset the shape once we've created it. One thing that's worth noting, if I just go back to utilities and UCSs, with my assembly shape in UCS, what I've got is I've got this set to pre-build and apply to the assembly prior to the build. So for the part shaping, we don't actually have to add that, but I found good success with the assembly shaping if we make sure we just tick pre-build in there. Hopefully you found this episode useful. Feel free to give us a like, share and subscribe. We're also on Facebook, that's facebook.com/thecabinetvisionguy, and Instagram too, that's instagram.com/thecabinetvisionguy. In the next few episodes, we'll be looking at some detailed examples of how we'd go about using this in Anger for things like some assembly shaping, as we've seen at the start of the video, but also things like U-shaped drawers, and again, for solutions that we'd sort of find in the field. Thanks a lot. Cheers.